guys, and welcome back to the Crawl Corner. We're here once again in this wonderful ranty corner for all things Formula E. Seems like we're kicking off the season all over again, doesn't it? After an 8-week break, is it? 7-week break between the previous race and this one in Miami. Yeah. It was a crazy race as well, wasn't it? What a way to kick Formula E back off again. Yeah, that had a bit of everything, didn't it? And I'm definitely going to get a lot of things wrong, so I'll apologise in advance. But my God, where did you look? Where could you look in that race? It just had everything, didn't it? So if you've never seen this series before, I award the drivers out of a maximum of 10 points based on their overall race weekend's performance, and I go all the way down to 0 if they have a particularly bad one. Take a look out for bonus points. They're sometimes enough if some drivers do something extra special during a race. On the rare occasion I do award minus points, those drivers do something extra special, but for all the wrong reasons. Let's take a look at the current Formula E standings then. Let's take a look, shall we? It's on the screen now for you. Have a look and see the Crawl Corner standings are up on the screen. See where your favourite driver is currently. And based on how they did this weekend in Miami, can you see them going up? Can you see them going down? It was a chaotic race, and as already mentioned, I'm definitely going to miss a lot of things out, and I'm going to get a lot of things wrong. But yeah, bear with me, because I probably remembered bits that you didn't. And you'll certainly remember bits that I'd forgotten. So it's going to be a bit of give and take in the comment section, I'm sure. But we'll get there in the end. But yeah, take a look and see where your favourite driver is. Have a quick glance, and then we'll see how they finish at the end of the video. So without further ado, then let's kick things off with the race winner then, shall we? Pascal Wehrlein, okay. It's already got chaotic because he didn't cross the line first, didn't it? I just don't know what... I'm going to have a meltdown in this episode at some point because I just can't remember what happened. But I know Norman Nato nabbed him at the line, and that would have been one of the greatest finishes ever in Formula E. Had Norman Nato taken all of his attack mode, but he'd still got 30 seconds left of it, so he was given a 10-second time penalty and dropped down to 6th. So we're talking about Pascal Wehrlein first. And for the Porsches, it did look very much like advantage Porsche manufacturers, it must be said, this weekend around. Da Costa was doing a stunning job, really was. Da Costa did everything right, really, and it had the race unfolded naturally and how it should have done. I think Da Costa would have been the winner this time around, but Pascal Wehrlein was there to take the opportunity when it arose. Took his attack mode at the end there because he got 2 minutes left, had he? And he had to take it. I can't remember. I really can't remember. I'm sorry. I don't know what the hell I'm doing. Why am I even doing this video? Because I don't even know what I'm saying. But yeah, Pascal Wehrlein, nonetheless, he did a great job this weekend. Qualified well, finished well. Porsche looked to have the advantage all weekend and did a really good job. Free practice one, they almost came together, didn't they? There was almost a collision between the two of them, a miscommunication there. Similar to what happened in Formula 1, actually, because the two Williams nearly crashed, didn't they, into each other? But yeah, that was fun. But yeah, Pascal Wehrlein this weekend overall, I say a deserving victor, absolutely. But I do feel a little bit sorry for Da Costa because if there was going to be one Porsche winning this weekend, I think Da Costa did the better job overall. But I'm not blaming Wehrlein for that. That's just how race unfolds sometimes, and that's how your luck goes. So yeah, it's a perfect end to Pascal Wehrlein. He tried to hold off Norman Nato at the end just in case there weren't any penalties, but we knew there were going to be. He said he wanted to win the race on the road. I can't fault him. I would have done as well. Then you know it's job done, don't you? You know it's not going to the stewards. But nonetheless, they sorted it out quickly. He was able to take the top step of the podium and celebrate in style. Perfect end to Pascal Wehrlein. Solid job this weekend overall. Looked like it was advantage Porsche all weekend long. And they did just that pretty much anyway. 10 to Wehrlein. Finishing in second place, and his first podium in Formula E for over 2 years, we come to Lucas Di Grassi in the Abt Lola Yamaha. Is that right? Yeah, I think that's the right way around. But nonetheless, what a stunning weekend Lucas Di Grassi had this weekend. Okay, you could say looked into a podium. Absolutely, I get that. Fully understand. Crossed the line 5th, did he? I can't quite remember, but obviously elevated 2nd with the penalties for the cars that didn't finish their attack mode at the end. Yeah, Lucas Di Grassi, though, qualified himself solidly inside the top 10 and raced inside the top 10 throughout most of that race. So he was always going to get points. It always looked like it was going to be a pointsy race for the Abt squad in the hands of Lucas Di Grassi this weekend. And it came to a podium in the end, which is absolutely stunning. Congratulations to the Abt Lola Yamaha squad, to Lucas Di Grassi. It's nice to see him back on the podium. Of course, in his latter stages of his Formula E career now, he's had a tough few years, as we already know. But yeah, he's done a great job this weekend and looked to be doing a great job throughout the weekend as well. It all came together with a little bit of luck at the end, but even without that luck, I think he would have been on for that solid top 5 finish, you know, because he just had energy management. It was just all falling together for him. It was just coming together perfectly, wasn't it? So for Lucas Di Grassi, it can be none less than a perfect 10 as well, can it? Come on everyone, give him a perfect 10. He did such a great job this weekend overall, and it's nice to see him on the podium, isn't it? Perfect 10 to Di Grassi. Yeah, luck went his way a little bit, but he was still going to be on for a great result nonetheless. And it's nice to see him get a little bit of luck after the first few races this season have been pretty poor, haven't they? But yeah, luck went their way. Perfect 10 to Di Grassi. Faultless weekend overall. Third place, we come to the nearly man in Antonio Felix da Costa. As mentioned when discussing Verline, if there was one Porsche driver that should have won this weekend, it should have been Antonio Felix da Costa, but it wasn't to be, sadly. He used his attack modes early and was very conservative in using them. He knew that he wanted to get them used up early in case any shenanigans happened later on in the race, which they did. However, then that put him at a disadvantage towards the end of the race because he'd used all his attack modes. Verline still had a 2-minute one left. Di Grassi still had a 2-minute one left that were able to be used in the couple of laps that were remaining of the race when it restarted, and that meant that Da Costa was a sitting duck. It's a good job that the other drivers didn't run out of their attack modes crossing the line because Da Costa crossed the line 8th, was it? Did he cross the line 8th, I think? And was elevated to P3 as a result of all the penalties ahead. So, yeah, it was a good job that it wasn't an extra lap or two because Da Costa would have been a sitting duck through no fault of his own and would have tumbled down the order. So yeah, he lost out on a victory today, but at least he was still able to stand on the podium. Not where he wanted to be, but yeah, sometimes luck doesn't go your way, but then in other things, fortune favours the brave and all that lot. But I think Da Costa could do no more this weekend. He did a stunning job. A perfect 10 from me for Da Costa. Nothing he could have done in that situation, and did a really good job at limiting the damage done when it looked like he had the disadvantage. Fourth place, we come to Nico Muller in the first of the Andrettis, and it was lovely to see him in that nice blue this time. Normally when you get the aerial shots and the cameras from higher up, you see all this sea of red, and you just struggle to depict what's the Nissans, what's the Andrettis in particular. The Mahindras have got quite a bit of red on them as well, haven't they? But with them having the blue side pods, they were easy to distinguish and just broke the colour pattern up of the grid. I just noticed that. That's just something I've really thought I wanted to talk about. I don't know why, but the patternation of the colours really just sort of, yeah, just look nicer because they were in blue and white as opposed to red and white. But yeah, great weekend overall for Nico Muller. Wasn't the best in qualifying, but he was solid enough. And then in the race itself, crossed the line, P9, elevated to P4 as a result of all the penalties again. But I think he did a great job with Andretti this weekend. Jake Dennis struggled more this weekend overall. I know Dennis had the better starting grid position, didn't he? But sort of tumbled down the order a bit. Nico Muller was sort of keeping himself in the fringes of the points, keeping himself honest and trying to do what he could. And in the end, it netted him a P4 in the end because he took the attack modes early and benefited from that. So Nico Muller, damage limitation weekend, I would say, came good in the end. Would have scored a couple of points. Here he is securing a lot more than he would have done had it not been for the penalties ahead. But I'm going to give him 9. 9 to Muller. It's so difficult to judge this race, isn't it? Because the way the attack mode went and the red flag timing and things, it just didn't work out well, did it? But nonetheless, 9 to Nico Muller. I think he had a solid weekend overall. Not as good a qualifying as his teammate, but the race in the end fell his way. And sometimes that's luck, but sometimes he needs credit him for it, for staying out of trouble. 9 to Nico Muller. 5th place in the Mahindra, we come to Edoardo Mortara. What a season Mahindra are having. It's so lovely to see. Okay, they didn't get the lucky podium like Di Grassi did, but Mortara, of course, did a great job here to secure P5. Used his attack modes early once again, so a little bit of a sitting duck at the end there. But again, was able to finish P5. I can't remember where Mortara finished on the road. It would have probably been 10th or 11th something. Elevated here with P5 as a result of penalties again. But I think he deserved, again, what came his way. I think he'd reaped the rewards by doing what he did early in the race. De Vries was up there for a little bit as well, wasn't he? So the Mahindras were looking strong overall, and Mortara had made great progress through the field. Had a great race of management and keeping himself in the pack, but keeping himself efficient. And yeah, that Mahindra is looking like a strong car, isn't it? It really is. It's not going to be a championship contender, but it's one of those where at least he's in the mix. They're able to fight for something, because the last couple of seasons it's been very tough for him, hasn't it? Whereas now now this new Gen 3.5 Evo era is going Mahindra's way. They're scoring points regularly. The drivers are on top of it as well. And Mortara overall had a fantastic race. So it's going to be 9 to Mortara for me for him as well. Solid weekend overall. Didn't put a foot wrong. And just did what he could with the car he was given and looked into a good haul of points after maybe scraping a point at the flag. Can't quite remember how it worked out. But yeah, nonetheless, solid effort. 9 points to Eduardo Mortara. Finishing in 6th place. We come to Norman Nato in the Nissan. That's right. Norman Nato in the Nissan. Yeah, what an unlucky weekend once again for Norman in that Nissan. It's a tough one, isn't it? Tough pill to swallow for him there. He got pole position, did really well in the race, was keeping himself within inside the top 5, top 6 with the bunch in and wanted to get efficient and things like that. And then the attack mode sort of looked like it had gone and worked his way. We had that safety car which became a red flag after the pile up at the chicane. That then realised, everyone was made to realise that he'd not got enough time left to use the entirety of the attack mode that was remaining. So he was like, right, pedal to the metal, we're going for it, we're going straight for it, and we're going to go and take the lead. And he took victory over the line from Pascal Wehrlein. However, he had 30 seconds left of his attack mode, so was given a 10-second time penalty. But it's a good job he sped. It's a good job he went quickly, because had he done the other way of just stopping and waiting for the timer to run out, he'd have been last. So I think he played a good gamble there, and the gamble paid off in that he was able to net some points here, finishing P6 with that 10-second time penalty. But Norman did nothing wrong this weekend. Again, an unlucky driver. Pole position, great effort. We've not seen anything of him this season. He's been scoring quite a few lotteras. He's quite low down in the driver's standings on here at the moment in the crawl room, and of course he'd scored 0 points up until this point, so was pretty much dead last in the actual overall Formula E standings. But he did well this weekend, and I can't discredit him in any way, shape or form. It should have been victory. It wasn't. It was unfortunate timings, unfortunate situation, unfortunate strategy was put on by the Nissan team, which was to take the gamble and take the attack mode late. And for that reason, it's going to be a perfect 10 to Norman Nato. It really is. I can't fault him at all this weekend. He's done a solid job, and it's hard done by that he wasn't able to secure that victory. It begs the question, doesn't it? What do we do with these attack modes, and how do we play it when we have these late red flag scenarios and things like that? Because if you have a red flag in Formula 1 and the race gets cancelled and there's no tyre changes, well, obviously there is, because you'll change the tyres in the pit lane with the red flag, and then that means you've done a pit stop even though you haven't done one. So then everyone stays where they are in the pit lane if the race doesn't restart. So what is the procedure like? It's unfortunate for Da Costa that he had the red flag when he got 6 minutes of his attack mode remaining. The red flag came out. That attack mode just trickled away. It couldn't be stopped. The time couldn't be paused, and then he couldn't use it again at the restart. Maybe it needs some clarification and some refining. We've had attack mode in Formula E for quite a number of races now, but this is the first time that it's sort of impacted in so many drivers' races overall, through no fault of their own, really, because it was how it worked. We had a lapper safety car, then we went red flag, then we had to allow cars that had been a lap down, that had been involved in that incident, to unlap themselves. Then they had to go out and do a reconnaissance lap again, so we lost a lot of time there. And had that not all happened, and had that transpired a little bit quicker, would have been given one extra lap of the race where I think no one would have been impacted by the attack mode. So they'd have been able to finish where they finished, such as Norman Nato taking the victory. But then you look at it and think, well, that timing of the red flag was unfortunate for Da Costa, because he lost all of his attack mode, and had it resulted in the timings of everything working together, that they'd have had that extra lap where no one then penalised, well then Da Costa took an unfair penalty by taking his attack mode early, losing it all during a red flag, and then not having an attack mode for the rest of the race. So is there something to be brought into question there? Is there a discussion to be had? I personally believe so. If there's going to be a red flag, I think we need to make sure that whoever's on the attack mode and what time they have remaining is frozen. And then I would personally say that if it's looking like that there's time left available, or not enough time left available, to make sure that the other drivers that haven't taken their attack mode is there to be run down, that we add an additional lap, or that we make something that they don't have to take it all. Because surely it's a disadvantage. If you can't take all of your attack mode, that is a disadvantage because it's quite a lot powerful. It's quite a lot more powerful. So it is a difficult one and an interesting conversation to be had. But I felt if the attack modes would have all worked out, I would have felt sorry for Da Costa because he wouldn't have even been on the podium. But of course, I feel sorry for Nominato because here he is 6th and he was the rightful winner. Difficult one, isn't it? How do you keep everyone happy? Tough one, isn't it? But Nominato, perfect 10 anyway to him, can be no less. And yeah, just thought I'd open that topic of discussion up because I think it's something that might need addressing because we've not really had a situation like this as badly as we have during the time of attack mode. But yeah, an interesting discussion to be had. 10 to Nominato anyway. Fantastic drive, Norman. Such a shame he didn't take victory. Next up, we come to Dan Tinktum in the Kiro Race Quid Pro Quo buy one, get one free Music Magpie. I don't know what this one's called either. But yeah, Dan Tinktum securing a solid result here in P7. Was running around in the points pretty much never at all, ever, I don't think, anyway. And then got out-qualified by his teammate Beckman, who appeared in the duels, did he? Or was on the fringe of the duels anyway. He was certainly inside the top 10, top 11, somewhere around there. Yeah, Dan Tinktum further down the field this time around was about 15th, wasn't he? Maybe on the fringe of the points at certain aspects of timings where the attack modes were in, etc. And then, of course, benefited from the penalties for the cars ahead to get himself here in P7. It's going to be 8 points from me for Dan this weekend. Didn't see much of him, but that normally means it's a good thing because at least he's not shouting over the radio or crashing. And secures a good few points for the Kiro Pro squad that have got the year-old Porsche powertrain in it. They're still netting points, which is what their aim is. So they're doing a good job, having a better season than they had last season, looking a little bit more consistent. Yep, looking to score points this time around. He would have been outside the points without the penalties, but nonetheless, a solid job. Just maybe could have had a little bit more from him. If he'd have had a little bit more pace, he could have got Norman Nato with his 10-second time penalty, so there'd have been a couple of points there. But other than that, it's 8 to Dan Tinktum. Didn't really see much of him. It was just chaos up and down the field. And here he is finishing 7th. Well done, Dan. Next up, we come to Robin Freitz in the first of the Envisions. Oh, God above. God above. Even when you have a chaotic race like that and you have all that thrown your way, you still only have the first of the Envisions finishing in P8, which is just ridiculous, isn't it? Yeah, and I'm not going to say where they are in the team standings right now, but take a look on the Formula E website because that is absolutely disgusting, their position in that standings right now. Absolutely disgusting. They are behind some teams they don't deserve to be behind and shouldn't be behind. But yet they are. Robin Freitz, I've given him a solid 7. Solid 7 for me for Freitz. I don't think there was much more he could do. It was looking like they were quite racy and quite pacey at the start. Both of them up there. Both of the Envisions were up there fighting in the top 5. Freitz had a good qualifying as well, of course. And then in the race itself, as always, for Envision, it just unfolds. Even with all the luck and all the drama, they're just here miseling around and picking up a few points. And even that, it's lucky. And it just... Jesus Christ, what has happened to this team? What has happened to this team? 2 seasons ago, they were teams champions. Teams champions 2 seasons ago. It's just unbelievable. So yeah, Robin Freitz, it's a solid 7. He didn't really do anything wrong, but once again, Envision doing Envision things. They don't want points. They've got some, but never mind. Yeah, they always try and snatch defeat from the jaws of victory. And once again, I think this is another weekend where it could have been... I mean, there's a Lola, for God's sake, finishing P2. Why can't that be Envision? Just doesn't make sense, does it? 7 to Freitz, that's that. Frustrating. Picking up a couple of points, we come to Jake Dennis in the second of the Andrettis. Don't really know what to say for Jake Dennis this weekend overall. I'm sure he had a great qualifier, didn't he? I'm sure he qualified up there. But again, probably just a victim of the attack modes, wasn't he, I think? There's a fair few drivers got penalties for it at the end. I don't think Jake Dennis was one of those, though, but was obviously too far back to benefit. I don't know what happened to Jake, to be honest. I don't know why he's here. I don't know if he looked into these couple of points or whether he's been unfortunate and lost out on points. I don't know. I'm not going to be assessing that race 14,000 times to see where every driver finished. It's just a frustrating one overall. But for Jake Dennis, it's a solid 6. Nico Muller looked himself into a solid P4 there. Don't know what happened to Dennis. He's getting 6 points. He can thank me for him. I've probably been harsh. I've probably been too generous. I really don't know. But yeah, Jake Dennis overall, a solid 6. just a difficult race to judge all these drivers, and I'm sorry if I'm getting things wildly wrong, but I hope it's a bit more calmer next time around, because this one was just a real head-scratcher for me to even try and score people. But 6 to Dennis, didn't see much of him. Sure, he had a great qualifying, I think he did anyway, and then he just all went away. I don't know, 6. Last of the point scorers, we come to Oliver Rowland in the Nissan, crossing the line P5, P6, and then had a 10-second time penalty once again because the Nissan team elected to use their attack modes later in the race and didn't fully use it all by the checkered flag due to that whole shenanigan and kerfuffle that happened at the chicane. Yeah, difficult one for Ollie Rowland. Originally crossed the line P6, I think. Dropped to P11 with the 10-second time penalty. And then Zane Maloney's been penalised post-race for power overuse. So that means that Rowland does scrape a point at least. He got something from it, which is better. It's a better weekend, isn't it? At least he got something from it. It's a point. It's a point. Could be crucial come the end of the season. Very much going to be the Porsches and Ollie Rowland at this rate fighting for the championship. I don't think anyone else is going to be quite with them. It's a bit like Formula 1, isn't it? It's going to be the 2 McLarens and Max Verstappen at the moment. They're the only ones that are fighting for it. So, yeah, it remains to be seen how the season unfolds, but this point could be a crucial one. Ollie Rowland, again, like his teammate, very unlucky in terms of strategy. But there's one thing to know. Norman Nato had the measure of Ollie Rowland all this weekend, and that is the first time we've ever said that this season at all. So for that reason, Ollie Rowland is getting a solid 7 from me. Don't think he deserves anything more than that. Outraced and outshone by his teammate Norman Nato, who was just equally as unlucky come the checkered flag. But it could have been Ollie Rowland that took the win over the line and then penalised to P6 as opposed to the other way around, because that's where we've normally seen Rowland, but this time it was Norman's turn. Shame it didn't work out for either of the Nissan drivers to secure more points that they actually deserved. But that's racing. Rowland gets a point in the end. 7 to him. Then just outside the points, we come to Nick De Vries in the second of the Mahindras. Normally everyone would say that's unlucky to just finish outside the points, but even with all the penalties and everything, couldn't scrape into them. I totally understand it is a little bit unfortunate. Totally get that. But let's not forget, Nick De Vries caused a safety car for a lap because his car broke down. It shut down, he was off the track, they called the safety car out for a lap. And yeah, from there we didn't know if he was going to be out the race, in the race or what, but he was able to control, hold, delete, restart that car and get himself back in the race. So the fact he was able to get back up here onto the fringes of the points, was able to take the checkered flag penalty free from attack modes, etc., is a solid enough effort. I've been really harsh with his score and only given him a solid 6. It is tough, it is harsh. I know it wasn't his fault why he's down here. He certainly would have been a point scorer had it not been for the breakdown that he sustained during the race. But yeah, I just think it was a difficult race to judge, difficult to score. Do I think he deserves more than the likes of Norman Nato? Do I think he deserves more than Ollie Rowland? Ultimately, probably not. Maybe should have done. It's a difficult one to judge. He certainly doesn't deserve as many as his teammate, of course. But De Vries had a solid weekend. I have been harsh with that score. I know I have, probably by about 2 points to be fair. But it all balances itself out on the cruel corner as the season goes on. A harsh score for De Vries, I'll admit. Looking back at it, that was a very harsh score to give him. But this is the cruel corner for a reason. It's a solid 6 to De Vries. Unlucky to miss out on points in some aspects, but also very fortuitous and very fortunate to get on the fringes of the points despite causing an earlier safety car because his car broke down. Next we come to Jean-Eric Vergne in the first of the DS Penske's. Oh dear, what a shame to see Jean-Eric Vergne so far down here and just looking to be struggling all weekend, to be fair. He really didn't seem to have the pace, which is unfortunate. He had a slight off moment, didn't he, earlier in the race where he went grass cutting. Took the corner a little bit too hard and bottomed out, and then it sent him off through the grass. Tried to rejoin the circuit, and he's like, no, actually, if I could go straight on, I can regain up there, rejoin up that bit. So he did that. That was really the only bit we saw of him in the race, and then the rest of it was quite lonely. So DS Penske walking away with no points. Very unfortunate. Jean-Eric Vergne just here in 12th. Again, elevated up to 12th due to penalties. So he was nowhere near the points, unfortunately, this weekend. Just a tough one overall. 4 to Jean-Eric Vergne. A below average performance, I feel. I think Vergne should have easily been inside the points, even without penalties, etc. And then the fact is here, even with penalties and things, very disappointing. Below average. 4 to Vergne. Next up, we come to Sebastian Buemi in the second of the Envisions. What a shame to say that Envision are doing so poorly again. Buemi, no idea what happened. Don't really care. I've given him 3. Thank me for him. That's all I think he deserves. I don't know what happened. He was fighting up at the front to start with, then tumbled down the order, and then we just never saw anything of him ever again. Amen. Yeah, don't know what happened. It's just a tough one, isn't it? Really, really, really frustrating me. I'm Envision. They really are. They're a top tier team. They're a top caliber team. They've proved it. But we just need drivers now, don't we? We need 2 new drivers. We need new strategists, clearly. We need something. We need a big overhaul of that team because it's just not happening at all, is it? 3 to Buemi. Thank me for him. That's that. Then we come to Stoffel Van Dorn in the first of the Maseratis. My God, there's drivers down here that really shouldn't be down here, are they? It's difficult, Van Dorn, didn't see much of him once again, and for that reason it's 3 points, and he can thank me for him again. He really can. Thank me for him, Van Dorn. Thank me for him. Tough weekend overall for the Maserati and the DS Penske squad that should be a lot further up the field. If you've got Dan Tinksome in the points, if you've got Zane Maloney that crossed the line and got a point and then was relegated down, you've got Degrassi up there in P2, for God's sake. Why can't the others do this? It's just not on, is it? 3 to Van Dorn. I don't know why. I don't care. You can thank me for the 3 points he's been given. And yeah, just again, frustrating weekend overall. Not on. Not acceptable. Next up, we come to the first of the Jaguars. First of the Jaguars in Nick Cassidy. And there we have it. Lotterer of the week to Nick Cassidy because he was the only driver that picked up a 5-second time penalty for track limits. I mean, come on, mate. There's all these cars around you that haven't taken their attack modes and they're not going to complete their attack modes in time. So you've got chance there to overhaul a few positions and a few cars in the race. Come the checkered flag. But no, you get a 5-second time penalty because you've been abusing track limits somewhere. I just think this sums up Cassidy's season. I really do. It's just not going Jaguar's way. It's not going Nick Cassidy's way. It's just so unfortunate. I don't know what to say. I'm not angry with him. I'm not upset with him. It's just how it's going at the moment. And he deserves a lotterer out of everyone because he was the only one that picked up a penalty that was sort of just. You know, if you're cutting the track and if you're abusing track limits, then you get a time penalty. It's as simple as that. Everyone else stuck to the rules. Nick Cassidy didn't. Without that 5-second time penalty, maybe could have scraped a point. I'm not sure how that would have lied without the penalties because I'm sure he was inside the top 10. 8th, was he, when he crossed the line? 9th? So he would have picked up a couple of points. Then with the penalties ahead, probably picked up a few more. So we could have been maybe looking at a 6th, maybe. I don't know. I'm just speculating. But I'm sure he crossed the line inside the top 10. The 5-second time penalty dropped him outside the top 10. So, yeah, tough pill to swallow for Cassidy. Could have been points there. Not saying it was anything special, but it could have been points. But yeah, this season is just not going well at all for Nick Cassidy, is it? Or for Jaguar on the whole, to be honest. Yeah, they're having a bit of an Envision season at the moment, it must be said. So yeah, Nick Cassidy, lotterer of the week to him. Don't like dishing it out. To Nick Cassidy in particular, but I just felt it was deserved this time around. The only driver to really pick up a just penalty. There you go. Of the week, Nick Cassidy. Finishing behind his teammate, we come to Mitch Evans, caught up in the tangle that occurred at the chicane. It wasn't Evans' fault, that he just innocent victim, wrong place, wrong time, and bumped into the back of Maxi Gunter that had already had the crash and tried to mount Jake Hughes. Yeah, so Mitch Evans is 2. It's 2 points. He was down there to be involved in the shenanigans in the first place, to be honest. They'd only qualified themselves 14th and 15th, was it? Both the Jaguars, and then they were running even lower than that in the race and didn't really look to be making any sort of progress through the field. It was just a difficult one overall. Mitch Evans, like I say, it's 2 points to him. Yeah, he couldn't avoid the collision, but he shouldn't have been down there anyway. Jaguar, what the hell are they playing at this season? I really don't know. But overall, Mitch Evans, 2 points to him. Thank me for him. Move on. Come back stronger. Jaguar, where the hell are you? Next up, we come to Maxi Gunter in the second of the DS Penske's. Again, sort of maybe an innocent victim. It's difficult to judge, isn't it? I'm going to lay the blame on the incident more on Hughes, to be honest. If I am honest, because we've got the Envision on the inside, we've got Gunter there, then we've got Jake Hughes trying to sweep himself around the outside and sort of cut in. These two cars couldn't vanish. They both had contact between the pair of them, which then bumped into Jake Hughes, which then caused that accident to unfold and then caused Gunter to mount the back of Jake Hughes' car. And obviously then Evans got caught up in it as a result as well. So, yeah, I don't really fully blame Gunter. I don't fully blame anyone, to be honest. I just think it was a racing incident overall. A little bit clumsy. All tripping up over each other. Wasn't great. But yeah, overall, I've given Gunter 4 points. Wrong place, wrong time. Shouldn't have been down there, though, again. But ultimately, what can you do? At least he could keep going. That's the only thing that's sort of saving grace, really. But yeah, 4 to Gunter, that's that. Move on. Come back stronger next time around. But a very, very disastrous weekend for lots of teams that you'd expect inside the points. Then we come to Sam Bird in the first of the McLarens. Another team you'd expect inside the points that are absolutely nowhere. Yeah, don't really know what to say about them either. Sam Bird, 3 points to him. Disastrous weekend, poor qualifying, poor race. Looked to be inside the points at certain stages, but then again, I don't think he used all of his attack mode, so got a penalty and finished further down than where he were anyway. Tough weekend overall for McLaren, picking up no points as well. Crazy, isn't it? Crazy. So many drivers, so many teams not collecting the points that they expected to go in and earning over the course of the weekend. Yeah, it seems like Nissan had a good weekend overall then, doesn't it? They were the victims, really, of the attack mode scenario, but at least both drivers scored points. Norman Nato got some points for pole as well. So Nissan end up coming out like winning effectively, don't they? So yeah, there's only really Porsche had a solid weekend. Everyone else has struggled. But yeah, Sam Bird, 3 points to him. That's that. Next up, we come to Zane Maloney, crossing the line around 14th, 15th, elevated to P10 at the checkered flag due to all the penalties ahead. Because of the attack modes and because of Cassidy's 5% time penalty. Then post-race he had a power overuse penalty, which dropped him down here into this lowly position of wherever we are, 19th I think we're talking about now. It's 4 to Maloney. He had a tough weekend overall, didn't he? Not as impressive as his teammate Degrassi, who kept himself inside the top 10 throughout the race, which is bloody impressive, Lucas, it really is. But it would have been nice to see Maloney keep that point, but a power overuse, it's one of those things, isn't it? It happens, it's not the driver's fault, it's just a slight glitch in the car's system where it gives you a fraction little bit more power than it should at this one precise millisecond of a moment, and you get hit with a 30-second time penalty and it chucks you to the back of the grid. So, yeah, an unfortunate one there. It would have been nice to see both Lola cars score the points. They almost did. So encourage him for next time out, I'm sure. But Zane Maloney, tough weekend overall. 4 from me for him. An okay performance, but again, not on the par of his teammate, and has to be penalised for that in the points. Then we come to Taylor Barnard in the second of the McLarens. He's getting 3 as well. Another tough qualifying for him. He was slightly higher up than his teammate Bird, though, wasn't he? Then in the race again, once again, we saw both McLarens in the mix inside the top 10, but you just didn't know which way it was going to unfold, did it? And unfortunately for the McLarens, again, they were struggling and didn't really get into the points where they sort of deserved to be, and then they had the attack mode thing, and then they ended up down here at the back of the grid. So that's that, isn't it? It really is. Unfortunate timing, but the race was unfolding and unravelling anyway. Didn't look like they were going to get any sort of big, special, spectacular results. It looked like they were always just going to be on the fringes of the points if anything went their way. But as it was, it didn't work out. It's 3 to Taylor Barnard. A weekend to forget for McLaren, as it is for so many teams as well. And that's that. Then we come to David Beckman in the second of the Kiro race quid pro quo status quo. I believe in miracles. Yeah, I don't know what to say about David Beckman, unfortunately. Pitted early in the race due to a mechanical software issue. It was an unfortunate one. He lost a couple of laps, then went out pretty much as a test session. So he was always going to remain at the back of the grid from there. It's another 05 from me for him. He did cross the line, but I've treated him as a retirement because he was so many laps down come the end. I think he had another issue as well, which sent him into the pits for where the red flag came out, and then he was like more laps down. He didn't really have a good race overall anyway, did David Beckman. Yeah, he crossed the line. He was too many laps down. I don't actually think he was classified because of the amount of laps he was out there, but it doesn't matter anyway. It doesn't matter. Miller 05 for Beckman. We didn't see anything really impressive of him, to be fair. Qualifying was good, though, actually, to be fair. I've just remembered that. Qualifying was a strong point, but I've sort of treated him as a retirement because mechanical gremlins crept in, and unfortunately that cost him his race anyway. But even when he did pit, he'd already tumbled down the order a little bit. But was that as a result of the issue that he'd sustained? It was difficult to prove and understand. But yeah, 5 to Beckman. Nice to see him have a solid enough qualifying. And then in the race itself, sort of all unravelled. Was it the mechanical issue that caused him to drop down the order? Was he struggling anyway, then have the issue? Difficult to say. But 5 to Beckman. Hope to see him back stronger next time out. And then we come to the only official retirement on this list, which is, of course, Jake Hughes, the car that was the smelliest of the messes. As we mentioned already in discussing with Maxi Gunter, there was an Envision, then there was Gunter. Hughes tried to go around the outside. 3 into 1 was never going to go, unfortunately. There was this little bit of contact, a little bit of a nudge from Gunter, who had also been nudged by the Envision. He got spat off into the wall. Big damage to the front of the car. Then Gunter climbed over the back of Jake, and big damage to the rear of the car as well. And it was out. Shame, really. Shame. Poor qualifying by Jake, and a tough one to judge. I've given him 4, a generous 4 there. I thought, let's give him a generous score, because it was a tough one, wasn't it? It was a racing incident. I think had the race unfolded differently, maybe we could have seen him scrape a point or two, but Maserati just didn't seem to get it together this weekend. He tried an audacious move around the outside. Maybe frustration crept in with how low down the field he was, to be honest. But yeah, overall, Jake, probably generous by a point or two there, to be fair. But I don't think he deserves a lottery, because I do think the move he made was on. I think it was an acceptable move that he made. I just think it was unfortunate that Gunter and the Envision decided they were going to battle just at the same time that Hughes decided he was going to go around the outside of them all. And it just didn't work out. So yeah, 4 to Jake Hughes, probably generous by a point or two. But yeah, the only official retirement on this list. Shame, really. Shame. So anyway then, guys, those were the runners and riders of the Miami Grand Prix. Let me know in the comments section, did I score any drivers too high, any too low? I'm well aware I've missed a lot of talking points out. There was just so much to discuss, wasn't there? So I apologise if I've got any drivers drastically wrong. I apologise if they had crashes in qualifying and free practice. Not really seen much of them, to be honest. I've just mainly watched the race. So, again, apologies for that. Time schedules and work-life balance is not really working out for me at the moment. But we will get there, we will. But yeah, thank you so much, as always, for your continued support with the series. I really do appreciate it. And yeah, thank God I've been able to get this video in. Hopefully it's out on time as well, hopefully. So, without further ado then, let's take a look at the current Cruel Corner standings then, after I've just awarded the scores on this video. It's on the screen now for you to take a look at. Now have a look and see where your favourite driver is. Yeah, some drivers did really well this weekend. Some were fortuitous and looked into things. Other drivers not so much. Some drivers just didn't have their own way all race long. Really difficult one to judge. A massive thanks as always goes out to Joe, of course, JW97, for providing me with the scoreboard that you see on your screen, for the driver icons you see on your screen as well. Without him, this series would be more pointless than it already is. A massive thanks goes out to him for his continued support with the series. Really do appreciate it, buddy. So I'll see you all whenever the next Formula E race is. Hopefully it's not 8 weeks gap again. I don't think it is though now. I think they're coming thick and fast out there. So I'll hunker down and I'll try my very best to get the videos out there for you as quickly as possible. I think one falls on when I'm at a wedding, so that will be late, definitely late, because I'm away for the weekend for that. But yeah, as always, thank you so much for your love and continued support with the series. I'll try my very best to get these videos out on time to you, Mondays at 6 PM. If it doesn't happen, I'm sorry, but they will be coming soon. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and as always, much love.